and we haven't gone far. So we were going to talk about starting in perfumery, very, very beginning of perfumery. And I've talked about it before, I'll talk about it again, but about naturals and how pretty much everybody thinks that all perfumes are made with essential oils. Or,
I know I did.
I did.
Yeah.
And why is that? Because in shops, that's what everybody says.
Mm-hmm.
And on the notes lists, everybody says, they list things that you've heard of that are normally plants. Yeah.
I remember my parents like getting me these perfumery kits for girls, and you can get off the telly. And
I believe you.
And they're just like full of these essential oils, and I was so happy at my first little construction of this god awful rose thing.
Were they really essential oils?
Yeah, it seemed like they were just real essential oils.
Well, they might be, might not.
But I just remember thinking, this is how it's done. I just tip these into a bottle, shake it up, and apply it directly to my skin. Boy, was I shocked when I came here.
Yeah, disappointing. But well, what have we got on the table? Let's get the Rose Ultimate. We'll smell that, which is made from roses. Nice colour. So we'll smell this lovely natural and talk about the issues, because one of the problems when people are making perfumes and starting out, first of all, I mean, there's that whole thing of you think, well, naturals surely must be better, isn't it? And then they put some essential oils together and wonder why it smells awful. And a number of people we've had in this room come and say, well, I brought the list of notes and I want to make, so have you got rose and jasmine and sandalwood and all these things? And you realise you put them all together and it can come out smelling just dense.
Yeah, and I think if you think of it, I know you think about it in terms of music, or I kind of think, and I think you also do painting as well, but I also do see it that way. Like if you're doing a drawing, these are kind of like, nice, heavy, rich colours that will like give you a lot of payoff. You can't like do an entire painting full of those.
Except you can though.
Oh.
Can't you?
Well, you can, but like...
And it won't necessarily be that bad. But
no.
So people probably come into it thinking that they could fill it with all their favourite things and it will be lovely, and the more they add, the better it goes. Actually, it doesn't. So, but there are some people making 100% natural perfumes that smell good. So what is it that they do? So I thought I would give away some of the secrets. Because it's not equal qualities of... it's not equal quantities of naturals that make a natural perfume smell good. So trick, hint, handy hint number one is that if you're working with equal quantities, it's unlikely that it will come out balanced. Say if you were to take this lovely rose, I've diluted this to 5% strength.
Even that's like...
That's quite... yeah, in ethanol, so it's quite strong. If we could, we've got our lavender. Here's the one that we smelled earlier.
Oh, that's quite interesting.
So we've got a kind of rose or a lavender. I like to call it, if you put those things together, think of like, how can you make a new flower that smells half rose, half lavender? That's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
You can make a rose and lavender.
Yeah.
But would we put them in equal proportions? Probably not.
No, I mean, even just doing this, I feel like the lavender is kind of overpowering the rose ultimate.
And even if the rose were at 10%, which the lavender is, probably the lavender would still overpower it at the beginning. So again, experiment and working out how they'd work together. But then if we started thinking, I mean, traditionally naturals are done with top, middle and base. You don't have to make it like that, but top, middle and base only work for naturals. They don't work for synthetics. It's a long and complicated story, of which there are more films.
Yeah.
But in terms of how long they last, the lavender doesn't last as long, the rose lasts longer. And then you might think, oh, okay, I'll stick patchouli on the bottom. But if you just make a fragrance of lavender and rose and patchouli, it will still start to feel a little like solid, closed up. Would we put equal amounts in? Probably not.
No.
So you know how we work with clouds? You know, when we talk about
Yeah.
clouds.
What?
Big quantities of softer things.
Yeah, I think there's a depiction of
there
that
is
in
a
here.
there is a picture of how I work with clouds, which is currently being drawn more nicely for me. In
This
fact,
one?
those I mean
Yeah.
the scale of sensuality of clouds. The things that are on the clouds list of clouds. So I've got some natural ones there that you can use in big quantities to make.
These are natural ones.
Bergamot, cedarwood, patchouli, and lavender and vetiver, things like that. You can use fair old quantities of those compared with tiny amounts of other more intense materials, and that's one way to make sure that 100% natural fragrance is okay. Because I've made 100% natural fragrances.
Oh yeah,
on lives,
yeah.
And they smell alright.
Yeah, no, they do. My indigo is my favourite. I know we're going massive tangent, but it's my favourite.
No, that's fine. I will take praise. Thank you. But normally in the rest of perfumery, which you're using things which probably salespeople don't know the names of, so they won't mention them.
No.
So we're talking there about hedione and helionel and vanillin and methyronine. Yeah, and clean fluffy bunnies. That's all the musks.
Yeah.
And the way that natural perfumes used to be made was they would use civet tincture and musk tincture and ambergris tincture, and there used to be all the animal things.
Right, which.
So now those are banned.
Yeah.
So if you
Is
try and
ambergris banned?
actually no, ambergris isn't banned.
Oh, okay.
Not well, it is in some countries trade because it comes from Wales, from suburban Wales. The worry is that if people start trading in it, then people will go off and kill whales in order to.
Yeah,
right.
I don't put that past humans. So.
No, humans would do that, and so especially if they're really poor humans, if they stumble across a whale, like, well, let's kill it and get the ambergris.
Yeah.
So we these days, if you want perfumes to smell like they did like the beginning of the 1800s before synthetics were invented, then you kind of have to have a replacement for the things like the civet tincture, all the fixatives, the ambergris tincture, the musk tincture. What else is used? Castoreum. That's badgers, naughty bits. Let's not. No, sorry, not badgers, but not badgers. Beavers. Beavers, naughty bits, not badgers.
See,
it smells like leathery.
I understand the greatness of that that time. People were very inventive, but who thought?
Yeah, who knew? I know. Who first decided?
Yeah.
But so what you had, and we've got recipes for old perfumes, and when I made a curious essence, that's rose and geranium, and tincture of musk and tincture of ambergris.
Ooh.
And it's only because, which I used the real ambergris that I have that was washed up, and I used some modern musk as a recreation, and that's what makes the rose and geranium smell great. So then whoosh forwards to about the 1970s when people going, I want to make natural perfumes, but without animal cruelty. So instead of the clouds that they used to sit on, the fixatives that used to make them last longer, they're just not there. So what do you do in order to make your natural perfumes smell as good as natural perfumes used to, instead of like you just walked in for a spa treatment and get sort of like, whoa, essential oils.
Yeah.
And one of the answers is using things which are called natural isolates.
And what bee is a natural isolate?
Okay, so I like that question. What be a natural isolate? So it means so when you've got a natural that is made of lots and lots and lots of molecules, lots of different chemicals, by a tree, say, like a pine tree, good old pine trees. You can extract lots of different molecules from pine essential oil, say.
Oh, okay.
Or from other plants.
Naturals,
you can take out individual molecules. So they are natural, but they are isolated.
Okay, I get you. Okay, I'm so with you.
Good.
Yeah.
So I have got a natural isolate here, which I thought you might like to smell. And it says on it, and it's from Sigma Aldrich, which is a chemical company, and it's called 4-hydroxy-2,5-dimethyl-furanone.
We love it. It's a great name. It tells me so much about what it smells like.
Yeah. Good. And this is actually in the Great Randello.
But that's something that when I first came here, I was someone who's just thought naturals are great and there's nothing ever wrong with them. And when you basically then said, well, think about this, plants create things to protect themselves, and then if you apply
it can be a bit dangerous. So
dangerous.
You're not going to expect. I don't think you're going to expect this.
Oh wow! No, I can definitely tell this is in Great Randello. Yeah, I can immediately.
But it smells of toffee. This is strawberry furanone. It occurs naturally in strawberries. It occurs naturally in tobacco and other things.
I would have never thought that's in my strawberry.
But it smells like toffee, and you wouldn't imagine you could get. I mean, you don't get an essential oil of toffee.
No.
Or essential oil of strawberry. But this is a natural isolate, and because I accidentally bought the expensive version, because you can get the synthetic one as well. They come from the same factory.
Mm-hmm.
But if you insist on using all naturals, then you can get it. It's not come straight from the tree, but it's come from something that has been extracted from.
It's strawberry. What was the second thing you said?
Furanone. Furanone.
Furanone. Fantastic.
Yeah.
No, it's incredible. It really is, because you wouldn't think, when you're just munching on a strawberry.
So if you want to make a gourmand natural fragrance, you could use this, because it smells of toffee.
Yeah, and it's incredible. It is. Gourmand's a special place in my heart.
Mm-hmm. And you wouldn't need much.
No.
Talking of gourmands as well, here's another one. The name's easy. It's maltol.
Oh, yeah.
And this is a powder, so I'm just going to let you smell the lid. So basic Maltesers.
Yeah. Okay, I have a familiarity with ethyl maltol as the first
This
one.
is maltol, though.
Yeah,
this is not ethyl maltol.
No, but I expected something to be a bit closer to each other, but actually what I have is...
This is a bit more bready.
Yeah, it's not as... that one's more candy floss. I did not expect this. This does take... It's a bit, like, yeasty, like bready. Like when I put the bread to prove in my bowl, that's what it kind of smells like. It's
so
awesome.
I think it's made from barley, malted barley.
That isn't something though.
Yeah, this is in Mother Nature's Naughty Tortoise.
Yeah, see, I wear that on a regular. That's my go-to.
Yeah.
Wore it at my graduation.
But that is also a natural isolate. Mm-hmm. So people who want to make 100% natural fragrances can use things like that. Mm-hmm. Small amounts of them, and then they will smell more like perfumes, which are fashionable at the moment. Yeah. So you don't have to be restricted to just using essential oils if you want to use naturals. What perfumers in the wider commercial world tend to use is they call them nature equivalent. So they'd use the same isolate, but they'd use the version that's been made out of other things in the same chemical factory, but not actually extracted from a plant, probably, because often they're less expensive. Actually, I think all maltol's natural, but I don't think it's synthesized. Other things, the lilac smell, the thing used to make lilac fragrances called alpha terpineol.
Such a great name.
Yes, it's from another one taken from pine trees. Mm-hmm. And alpha terpineol. It smells partly of lilac and partly of toilets, I always think.
Oh, yeah. Is it because that's the association now with people putting lilac stuff in toilets things?
I wonder if maybe that some air fresheners, what have you, that have been... Yeah. I mean, it doesn't smell like the bad part of toilets, but you see what I mean. But one can buy alpha terpineol, which is a natural isolate, and use that, and that officially... is permitted as a natural fragrance. So if somebody does want to use 100% naturals and make, so like, the wonderful Hiram Green, you probably haven't met yet, but Hiram makes 100% natural fragrances, but they're not all out of essential oils. He uses a lot of natural isolates in order to kind of extend and open up the fragrances.
Yeah, I mean, if the technology has provided stuff that is still natural, but is extracted from like the many wonders that nature does give, why shouldn't we use them?
Exactly. Nature plus chemistry